I got very nervous after I stopped talking. Hello, welcome back to another episode of Day by Day Podcast. I'm Leslie.
And I'm Diana.
And we have our beautiful guest, Miss Mare.
Hi, guys.
Hey, girl. Thanks for being in 2 episodes. You're like, I have no choice.
Thanks
You're
for
my driver.
having me. Thanks for having me.
You're like, I can't leave.
She's stuck here. She's stuck here with us.
She's stuck here. But today we're going to be talking about just jobs in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, just jobs, how we feel about jobs, our opinion on jobs,
Big
and
girl
how
things.
toxic. Yeah, how
Yeah.
toxic our jobs are.
No. You know what though? But growing up, I always said I can't wait to have a job.
I know. Now I
Because,
regret it.
You know, I'm like, I can buy whatever I want. It's
Yeah.
my money.
Yeah, I think it was just like the idea of having adult money that made
Yeah.
us want a
Just being
job.
an adult, I think, you know, it's like, it was
Yeah.
like a big step in our
It
lives.
has its moments
It
where,
had its
like, you
moments.
know,
Mhm,
like, being an adult is pretty cool because, like you said, you get to buy your own things. And
Mhm.
at the same time, it's like, is this what I really wanted to grow up for?
Yeah, because I guess in what age did you guys started working? Like, do you remember when you started working?
Well, I started babysitting
Uh-huh.
at age 15, 16.
Okay.
And then after that, it wasn't until like 17 that I started working at Jack in the Box.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah, so 17, basically.
okay.
Yeah, with Leslie.
Yeah, that's true. What about you? When did you start working?
I think like 17, 18, but
Yeah.
that's because I was forced. I didn't want to, but it was one of those things where like my parents were like, no, either get an activity after school or you have to go to work. And I'm like,
You're like, I don't want to do an
"No,
activity.
I want to be a potato forever.
Oh my god.
Me on the other hand, I was 15 turning 16 soon. Like I was so excited. Like I couldn't wait
Yeah.
to like get a job, which was so funny because
I cried.
girl, I was so
cried.
excited. Like I went out to eat at Cece's with my then boyfriend, and he was like, "Why don't you ask if they're hiring here?" And I was like, "Oh, I should." And it was the funniest thing. It was like a quick thing.
You're
it
like,
was-
it started as a joke, but then it
Well,
wasn't.
it was funny because the manager at that time, she was so hilarious. I asked her like, "Hey, are you guys hiring?" She's like, "How old are you?" And I told her, and then she's like, "Okay, when do you want to start?" I'm like,
Just like that?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
She's like, "Okay, you can start this weekend." I was like,
I
okay.
was just kidding.
No, I was so excited. I couldn't wait. So that's how I started working. And I do have to say, for that to be my first job, it was actually it started off really good. It was fun. You know, it was a weekend thing.
Yeah,
Girl,
fast food is always the best way to go for like first jobs because it teaches you
Yeah.
a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. I would work from like day to night on the weekends.
Oh my god.
And then like after school, because you
Mhm.
know we didn't have a car, I would have to like walk sometimes,
Mm.
like from like Smith all the way to the school.
I guess it kind of worked because like you guys would sometimes walk home too.
Mm-hmm.
And like literally the Cece's was really close to y'all's house.
Now it's gone. Can you believe that?
The Cece's?
Yes, they closed it down.
Yes, so?
I guess they moved it somewhere else because I think they were paying for both buildings. I don't know if you knew that it had another section that they only used as kind of like a storagey, pero estaban pagando por ese espacio también.
Damn.
So that's why they moved. They moved to a smaller place because there was like, we don't need to pay for
All that.
all this. But it took years.
Something bigger. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I remember loving work. I love work.
I hated it, as you can tell,
I know.
and I still do.
Yeah, now it's different. Pero like when I was young, I looked at it more like this is a good
Income.
opportunity to help my parents, to like.
Yeah.
And honestly, antes se duraba el dinero. Let's talk a lot. Let's talk a little bit about that.
That's what I'm saying.
It's 'cause
No,
the
and-
economy.
Yeah.
I mean, the economy has never been like good, but at least back then, like
I would see
$20.
$500. I would see $500 in my account or like as a check, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm rich. The stuff I can do with this
Same.
money.
Girl, I think like my first paycheck was like $300 and something, and I felt like on top of the world.
Me too. Like 200, almost 300. I was like, oh my God, this is it.
Now you see like 1,000 something, you're like, fuck. Eso no me va a durar. Eso no me va a durar para una semana.
I know. But then again, that's because of the way that things are right now.
Yeah.
Like $20 nowadays, like no dura nada.
It's not
Nada.
enough for like 2
Yeah.
meals.
It's not.
No.
It sucks.
It's almost $30.
Girl, imagínate antes, like my parents would give me $20 to like go to the mall, and I would be able to like eat and buy something small.
We were talking about that a few weeks ago. How with $20 at the mall, you could buy your movie ticket.
Yeah.
You could buy food, and you still had enough to go to Hot Topic and buy a small little something. Ya nada, ni para el pinche ticket.
No.
Or is it you can buy the ticket but no snacks.
Literally, you're gonna have to like sneak in a snack.
Yeah, because now for 2 tickets it's like 20 something. Because that's what you and I do.
I
Or when I
know.
go with Mehmet too, like either one of us will buy the tickets and the other one will buy the snacks.
Jesus,
So crazy.
it's expensive.
I
Yeah.
know.
But with jobs, I loved it growing up. Pero as I started getting older, I was like, oh no, this is not what I want.
Yeah.
This is a forever thing, isn't it? Pero I feel like when we were young and we had all those fun jobs, quote unquote fun jobs, because we didn't have big responsibilities.
It
you
was
know,
like we didn't really care because
Mhm.
yeah, we didn't have we didn't have bills to pay.
we didn't have big
Yeah.
bills.
The only thing that we would do is like literally just pay for stuff that we liked.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that was our going out
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
And like help out here and there. Like my
Yeah.
mom's like, oh, can I borrow?
We looked at it more like I feel like it was an allowance for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally disposable income.
Yeah,
that was
that's
it. And like now it's like fuck. We get paid. We have to like pay for all the bills, all the necessities. Y nos
Mhm.
queda like bien poquito, and we look at it like
I know we work so much.
Literally.
For
Yeah.
what? Yeah. It sucks. And it sucks that now, we have to live paycheck to paycheck.
I know.
Paycheck to paycheck. And sometimes like I feel like we do so much in those jobs and for what?
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
Ni un gracias.
That's why sometimes like, and I mean, don't get me wrong, like I still have to like sit there and like think about like if I do actually need something, like I know,
Mhm.
but in my head I'm like, but I like it, it's nice, it's
Yeah,
cute.
sometimes you have to treat
deserve
yourself.
it.
Yourself. We do that a
Yeah.
lot though.
Yeah.
We use that as an excuse.
Treat yourself.
I see Meme right there shopping right now. You had to work how many
The
hours?
little Furby mug.
Is that crazy? Sometimes we think about that.
I
like,
know.
damn, we had to work certain hours to buy this.
I know.
But it's okay.
That's crazy.
We can't think like that all the time,
I
We're eventually
know.
gonna die and
Yeah. Easy.
we're not gonna take anything, so
Yeah.
We might as well enjoy it while we're alive.
yeah.
I know. But there is sometimes that, well, especially back then, I would think a few weeks, I should say, because I got a new job. I don't know if I told you. I got a new job. I left.
Where?
I left the
Really?
school.
When?
So funny story. Remember last episode we did?
Yeah.
So okay, so I believe a lot in like signs and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So that
The
Friday,
universe.
the Friday before we recorded, I was taking the child that I babysit for. I was taking him back home,
Mm.
and out of the bloom, it was so random. He was just like, "Hey, Miss Leslie." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "I wish you could be my nanny." And I mean, I didn't take it like anything. I was just
Mhm.
like, "Oh, like you're so sweet." Thanks,
Yeah.
But I moved on. And then that weekend that we were recording,
Yeah.
I left here, and the old nanny called me.
Oh, and she asked you if you wanted it.
Well, no, it was more of why wouldn't I take the job?
Yeah.
Like she wanted, like
Aw.
she was like, hey, like
It was like
because she was kind of like,
yeah.
well, because she was kind of like, I don't understand why you're not taking it where it's such a good opportunity for you
Yeah.
to take, you know?
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about it, and I go, damn, is this like a sign? Like, like
The
'cause
fact that she
haven't
called
been-
you.
I haven't been somewhat happy with my job lately, and it has nothing to do. I mean, it has some to do with certain situations, But the big one was just like it was getting to the point where I was getting so tired that I had to depend so much on Luigi financially.
I remember you said that in the last podcast
Yeah.
episode that you're having to depend on him because
So
you live
much.
paycheck to paycheck,
Yes.
and he always has money.
Yes. Yeah.
Y te cortaron las horas.
And me cortaron mis horas. That was a big thing. Because originally I was just gonna do both the jobs.
Yeah.
But then I was like, but why do I have to do that? Why am I overworking myself when I can have this opportunity here and make more, you know? Girl, you should have seen me. I was a wreck. I was a mess. Like
trying to
trying
decide.
to
Yeah.
decide what to do. Like I was going back and forward because it goes back to being comfortable and like not wanting to disappoint people, letting people down. Like it was just so, and it was just me. It was just me doing all this damage to myself because when I told the teacher that I work with, she was very understanding. She cried. I cried. She was very understanding. And then when I finally spoke to my director, I don't know why I was expecting the worst of worst. She understood. It was just me.
Yeah. In your own head.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been there 2 weeks now doing this
Oh yeah.
new job.
Yeah,
Are
yeah.
you liking
I
it?
love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Like it's very chill. It's very
Different.
different. I don't feel tired. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a different, and like just the fact that obviously I'm not gonna say how much I'm making
Yeah.
or whatever, but it's just I'm just at a point where I am very
You can breathe.
financially.
Yeah.
I can breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's good.
yeah,
Honest, and I think we said in the last podcast too, like, I get it, money doesn't buy happiness, but money does
Yeah.
keep
Pay
us
the
afloat.
bills. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like if we don't have like money to keep us afloat, then we're literally stressing,
Yeah.
and then we get depressed,
Mhm.
and then we're like trying to figure
Mental
out
problems.
and
and
then that's how
stuff.
you start arguments with your partner,
Yeah.
or like
They
you
don't
know,
understand,
you feel like
and
you
you're like,
yes.
why am I
and-
the only one worrying?
And to be honest, I feel like I was overworking myself, like
Mm-hmm.
with everything. I had to have multiple jobs.
I feel like you were trying to overcompensate for something
Mhm.
that I don't know what it was, and I think a lot of us saw that, and we were like, why are you working so hard? Like,
Mhm.
I get it, but at the same time,
I
it's
don't
like
get it.
you're gonna basically take yourself out before you give yourself an opportunity
Mhm.
to enjoy life, you
Yeah.
know. But I understand, like, again, we grew up in a household
scared to, like,
where like
take
our parents
chances.
struggled,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
we understand that struggle from the very beginning. But then at the same time, now it's like we're adults. Like, when is it
Mhm.
gonna be enough?
Yeah. Yeah, and it was a lot, Diana. Like I was like going through a lot, like
She was
emotionally.
calling me.
I was like, I don't know what I'm
She's like,
doing.
"Mirror,
I'm a
mirror."
mess. But it was, and like Luigi would tell me, he's like, why are you thinking so much of this? I think it's just mostly of a change, like, making a change. That's also
Yeah.
scary. I mean, and you know that. With your
Jobs, yeah.
You stayed in
I've
lots
had-
of jobs.
yeah.
She had toxic relationships with
Yeah.
jobs.
I was beaten up and dragged.
Ay,
De las greñas.
mentally and emotionally, guys. Not physically.
Yeah, sorry, yes, yes.
Clarify, girl.
She was really getting girl. No, but it's
Yeah.
because like, fuck. I guess because of the way that we were brought up, like dealing, like just deal with it, like it's a job.
No,
Like, just deal with
it's,
it.
Mhm.
people pleasing, like catering to others
Mhm.
and others' needs before your own, and it's like, no.
Yeah. No, and my job is very understanding. They get it, because I was like, financially, I can't do it. I
Yeah.
can't, girl. I don't know how I was gonna do it with what I was gonna make after they cut my
Yeah.
hours really bad.
Yeah.
So
No, and like you kind of just have like the good thing is that it wasn't like a toxic work environment. It
Mhm.
was more of a okay, like I'm like I need to grow. Like I need to get out
Yeah.
of this. I need to get out of like worrying about you know, am I going to be able to pay this? Am I going to be able to buy that? Am I going to be able to enjoy life? Because it's not just like paying bills. It's also like enjoying yourself.
Yeah. And I mean, and again, thankfully right now, Luigi is still working like that, like, you know, pero obviously there's times where he's not working at all. Like for
a couple months,
like 2.5 months,
and it kind of falls,
and that's basically where I have to step in, you know, and like help out. And now thankfully I can do that, you know. So yeah, that's where I am right now with my new job.
I know that like even in relationships, especially like marriage, like money really has a lot to do with it.
Yes,
and it's really
you know what? That's something I didn't think about, because I remember when we first got married. So when we first got married, Luigi's parents sat us both down, and they gave us our wedding gift, which was obviously cash, and they told us the main reason couples fight / get divorced is because of money.
Yeah,
and I didn't think about that. I was like, really? And it's so true. That's where majority of the arguments start.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Because it's like, it's something, especially whenever you, I guess depends on like how you grew up. Like in our household, it was okay. Like we need to make the money for ourselves. Like we're so used to having the money for ourselves. Yeah. And not asking for help. And whenever like you get into a relationship, it's like, okay, so like, are you going to give me for this? And it's like, why am I going to give you my money?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But it's like, no, like it makes sense because we're splitting. Money. Yeah, it's our money because we're splitting
partnership.
This.
It's our money. And that was a hard thing too. Like, what do you mean? This is my money.
Literally. Like,
damn, Leslie.
No.
Poor Luigi.
No, like why do I need, because when Luigi's mom talked about having a joint account or whatever, I was like, wait, what? What is this shenanigans? You
like,
don't need access to
what about what about my money?
Bank? This is my money.
The funny thing is that like I have access to Andres's account, but he doesn't have access to
No, but me and Luigi don't have we don't have joint accounts, and I kind of don't want to do that. No. I mean, right now what we're doing, it works where it's like splitting,
and
everything.
It should be like that, you know,
and that's comfortable. Like, you know, because I like Diana said, we back up. But yeah, that's
I can look at your money, but you can't look at mine.
Well, I've gone better at feeling comfortable like talking about money problems, because again, I go back to, we were raised to like not ask for help,
and I think it depends on how you were raised and communication, like.
And that's one thing that we struggled at the beginning when we first got married, where it was more like I was struggling by myself in silence, and he was like, why didn't you just tell me? And I was like, babe, and
I think we all saw that, but you thought it was like this big secret where you were like, oh no, what is it? But it's like,
no, it was mostly like, I can do it, like I'm fine, like, yeah, I'm tired, but it's okay, I can continue. I'll babysit, like, you know. It was like a lot of those things. But yeah, I've gotten better at obviously asking for help and stuff, but also it's annoying the fact that I had to constantly be asking him for help, because you just feel so
dependent,
or like you feel like what is it, you feel I felt ashamed, I felt like, you know,
you
like,
let yourself like a
down. Yeah, or like, fuck, why am I always struggling, you know?
That's one of the hardest lessons that I still have to learn, is it's not a weakness asking for help.
Yeah, that's the word.
It's not
weakness. Yeah.
It's actually like,
it's okay.
It's a strength to ask for. Yeah, because
it takes a lot.
Yeah.
It takes a lot.
That's something that I had to learn. Like,
yeah, because I know you had a somewhat situation where you needed that help. Yeah. And even your mom was like, ask, you know? And it's so hard.
No, and I think it all falls back also with like being the firstborn child of your household, where everything falls on you, and you're like, oh, like, don't ask for help, or like, you know, basically. And I guess when I went through my situation and I had a talk with my mom, like I literally broke down.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Why are you crying?" And I'm like, "Because you don't understand." And she's like, "You're being so hard on yourself." She's like, "We've helped out your siblings,
but at the same time, it's because
it's like,
yeah, you don't want to do that to them.
Because I'm like, I've been so independent because that's how they've raised me, and to be independent. So asking for help was shameful. In my head. It was a big no. Like no, because I'm like, my siblings have done it, and I know how hard it is, and I also take into consideration, like, I know how hard my parents work to get their money. You know, and I'm like, it hurts. So it's like when, like, again, when I was trying to move or transition into a new job or find something new, it's like I just broke down because I was like, it was so hard for me to ask for that help.
Yeah.
And it feels so nice and reassuring that my mom was like, it's gonna be okay. Like, you don't always have to do all the work. Like, if we done it for your siblings, why do you think we won't do it for you?
Yeah.
And that was like a huge thing or burden lifted off my shoulders. And I was like, okay, like, maybe I've been picturing it all wrong in my head, where I think I shouldn't ask for help, or like it's a sin to do it, like, you know. So I get where you're coming from. Like, it's just hard.
It's just so hard. And then also because you just feel so useless.
Yes.
You know, that's just the worst.
You don't
part.
have you feel like you don't have a purpose.
Yes. And that's how I felt for, like, I want to say, like, from like May to until I accepted this job, because Luigi was helping me so much. And obviously, and part of it is also because I do have a shopping problem with all these damn afterpays.
They just start to accumulate.
Constantly reminding you in 4 days. Like, I know, Klarna. Like, God, why you gotta remind me? God, Afterpay. God, oh my God. All of my problems.
Speaking of, I need to pay my Ulta credit card. Yeah. I just remembered. I'm like, oh, yeah,
why would you have to remind me?
That's because it's September.
You're like, I just want to be ignorant for once.
I know.
Yeah.
I was like, ignorance is bliss sometimes, because
it is, until the reality hits us and we're like,
oh shit.
But yeah, that's a thing that I've been working on, like, just like with financially asking for help. And obviously now I'm just so thankful for this new job that I have, that I feel like I could do so much now. Yeah.
And that's good. I think we should all get to that point in our lives, because not everything is going to be about work. You eventually have to enjoy your own life, you know?
Yes. And that's another thing I am going to stop doing. Stop accepting so many weekend jobs.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big problem that I had. I guess just to say, I actually canceled a gig this weekend.
Wow.
Because I'm like, no, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I've been working Monday through Friday.
Yeah. You need
to
listen to your own body too, because it's like, that's your temple. It's what's gonna keep you going, because you're no use if you're dead. You know, it's like,
I do think that that's like a generation thing, because even my mom, like, sometimes she calls me like in the mornings whenever I'm on my way to work, and she's like, she works literally every day. The only day that she has off are Sundays.
Oh wow.
And she even told me that she's gonna tell one of her houses, because she cleans houses, she's gonna tell one of her houses that she's not, like, she's gonna stop going. She's like, I need a break. And like, at her age, you know, like, she's in her 50s already, and she's like, I need to relax, I need a break, like, I need more days off. And in her head, it's the same thing, because she's like, I don't want to disappoint them, I don't want them to be angry with me. And I'm like, but it doesn't matter.
You know? And like, sometimes we have to remember, because there is sometimes that I do get upset with the way my mom thinks and the way she sees life, but then I have to remember that's just how she was raised as well. You know, she has all these, and it just sucks that, you know, she didn't get out of that state of mind. But it's just like, it just sucks. So sometimes we got to remember that our our parents are also
humans
and victims of
the way of the how they grew up.
Even Andres, because like there was, I mean, you know, whenever I was pregnant, like we did struggle a lot financially. So whenever he was able to like work, I think he had like 2 or 3 jobs at one point. Like he would just like work. And anytime, like he became a manager, a bar manager. So, you know, they needed a lot of him. Like anytime anything happened, they would call him, they would text him, he would be there. And I would always tell him, like, you know, like you work so much that you don't really have like time for us. And whenever you do have time off, like you're sleeping because you're too tired. Yeah, you're not there. Yeah. And he would always take that like as nagging, like, well, you know, work for us and blah, blah, blah. And like that I get. But then like eventually he's like, no, like I'm going to relax. So like now he's off 3 days a week. And like whenever he needs to do chores or like he needs to run errands, he does it. Whenever he just wants to relax, he does it. And like sometimes I need to remember that. Like I need to remember that whenever I'm on my day off, it's okay to relax.
Yeah.
You know, because like sometimes I'm like, oh, I need to clean, I need to do errands, I need to do this, I need to do that. And like I'll see stuff around and I'm like, I could have picked this up on my day off. But
yeah, that's how I am too. And it's like, it's also, it goes hand in hand with like how you deal with anxiety.
Yeah.
Too, with because it's like, oh, because I didn't do this is gonna happen. And it's like you start getting all this anxiety that you're like, where did it come from?
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's just something. I guess like kind of not somewhat changing it, but I know we've all had like multiple jobs in our lives. Have you guys had a job that you can like truly say, oh my gosh, I love this job so much? But yeah, have y'all had a job that y'all truly enjoyed?
The job that I'm in right now, there was a time that I really enjoyed working with. And then like they changed managements, they changed a lot of stuff.
Do that.
Yeah, but like in the moment, like I really did like it. Like I loved the people that I worked with. I, you know, we were actually like a family. Like we would text each other a lot. We would be like, oh, you know, like we're doing this, or you know, like this is going on. Like we would really help each other out a lot. Like work would get so chaotic and crazy, but we had like open communication that we felt like relief. You know, we're like, okay, no, like we got this. Like we can plan for this. And like that was the only time that I actually enjoyed it. Then they changed everything, and I'm at this point, like I'm just sitting there in my corner.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, oh, Diana, like, you know, why don't you do this anymore? And I'm like, because I don't want to anymore. Yeah. I'm tired.
Yes, you reached that point.
Yeah.
It all depends on also like if you see your work environment treating you a certain way, it's like it just all depends on that. Like you're gonna give your 100% and even more if your employer treats you with respect and all that. But if they don't, it's like, why should I do it?
And I think that that's what a lot of places like don't understand. Like I think it's still that old school way of thinking. Like I need to be hard on my employees in order to keep them straight. Like no, like you take care of your employees. Your employees will take care of your business.
Exactly. And you respect them.
So that's true, because it's so hard to, I guess, like somewhat like enjoy your jobs. But like the reason I asked was because I used to work at Cinemark.
Oh yeah,
that was my favorite job ever. I have to say it. They were very strict with certain things, but I loved that job. It's just the only thing is that they didn't pay that well. That was the reason I was asking.
I think I have two. My first one would be when I was working at the yogurt place, but that's because I was alone. Yogurt place? Yeah, I used to work at a yogurt place.
Oh, like a frozen yogurt?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's how I knew about frozen yogurt. Before that, I was like, frozen yogurt? What is that? But when I started working there, I loved it because it was just me, myself and I. And it's like the owner, I guess, trusted me enough to be like, okay, you can handle it. Like you've already done your training and stuff. And like she'll come by to drop off some things, but then she would leave and like she'd be like, okay, well tonight you're locking up and just make sure everything is done. But like, yeah, it's fine. But again, it goes back to they didn't pay enough, so I had to leave and make more money. The second job that I do really say I would like was my toxic environment one. It didn't start off like that. When I first started, it was like Diana said, one big family and everybody like liked each other and like, you know, we talked and stuff and like that sort of thing. But again, management changed and everything changed, so that went down the hill.
Yeah.
But I was there for, I want to say, a good amount of my years, like 20s. So
wow, really?
Yeah. Then after that, I did build a bond with some girls that I was working there after I had moved like so many positions. The last position that I was in, I had built this strong bond with some girls that till this day, I mean, we'll text back and forth and I'll be like, hey, like, I miss you. I'm like, you know, things like that. But it's because we bonded through our work traumas, our work environment. Like, you know, it was being toxic.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It's funny that you say that because this one girl that I still talk to, she lives in Seattle now. Like her and I would bond a lot. Like whenever like it was good, and then whenever it started getting bad, like we bonded like so much that we still like communicate, even though she's like all the way in freaking Seattle.
Damn.
Yeah.
Bond really does bond. Like trauma really does.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, do I still talk to somebody from?
Like,
I mean, I'm freshly out of my job, so clearly I still stay in contact with friends from there. But no, I don't think I stayed in contact. No.
There was
I just moved on.
There was 2 jobs that I had whenever I was a medical assistant. They were the worst. They were the worst. The freaking worst. I don't know what it is with endocrinologists. They're assholes. Not all of them, but like the endocrinologists that I worked for, they were assholes. One was a in vitro fertilization. And then the other one was like a regular endocrinologist, like thyroid and diabetes. And they were both so shitty. Like the first one, which was an in vitro one, they had just opened a clinic like in Richardson. They had one in Dallas and they had just opened one in Richardson. And they would ask people like who can go over there to Richardson. And we only had one car. So the only way that I would be able to go over there is if Andres would drop me off like really early, or I would have to take like the train and the bus, you know? So I would go there sometimes because they kind of made me. And then one time I told them, I'm like, I can't go. Like I can work at the Dallas one, but I can't come up here anymore. Like it's starting to get a lot. Yeah. And they were paying me a lot. Like my paychecks were coming out to like $400. Yeah. And it was a lot. Like it was a lot of patience. It was a lot of paperwork. It was just a lot, you know, for like what they were paying me. And then I remember going into like the Dallas location like the next day, and the doctor looks at me and he's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, what do you like? I'm here. He's like, you said that you couldn't work. And I was like, no, I told you I couldn't work at the Richardson one, but I could come here. He's like, no, you said that you couldn't. You said that you couldn't come. Leave. He made me leave. Yeah, and like because I was like 19, in my head I was like, oh, like did I really fuck up? Like, oh shit, you know. So I left.
That's humiliation.
Yeah, it is. It was humiliating, and I hate that doctor. Whenever I finally quit, I was so fucking happy. And the funny thing is that whenever I finally quit, the girl that would like do like their finances and like move their money and stuff, she quit too. Yeah, and I was like, hell yeah. I was like, fuck you.
Oh no.
And then like the endocrinologist that I worked for, the regular one, they were assholes. They made us sign a form that said that we didn't want the insurance that they provided. We didn't have insurance. Yeah, they made us sign it. And the only reason that they made us sign it was because like the wife, like the female doctor, she wanted to submit workers' comp for herself. She got hurt at home. She didn't even get hurt at work, but she wanted to submit for that, so obviously they could get paid. But in order for them to for her to submit for that, they had to. The insurance asked, you know, like why we didn't have insurance, and so they made us sign something that said that we didn't want insurance.
Isn't that illegal?
It's very illegal. Girl, it's very illegal.
Isn't that crazy how certain jobs are that
shitty?
Yeah. I've worked in old schools back in the days, which I'm not gonna name their names. But damn, like now, obviously when you're young, you
see all the red flags.
Yeah, but there's things that some places do, and you're like, wait, what the fuck? Like, how are they still running?
Exactly.
Yeah. And like he was a shitty doctor. Like if we ever look at like the reviews, for him it's always, like, you know, he has a really shitty bedside manner, which he does. Like the way that he would talk to his patients was very shitty.
Wow.
And like we would work so many hours, they wouldn't let us leave until we finished like the charts. They were very shitty, like just plain point blank. Like, and then whenever like the people that were actually like good at their jobs, which were like three of us, so like me and two other girls, like we slowly like started quitting. He had the fucking nerve to tell me, well, we're leaving and you quitting, I just don't think that's fair. I'm just gonna say that it's not fair that you guys are leaving. And I was like, it's not fair the way that you would treat us.
Yeah, exactly.
At all. Like they even made us sign, because they wanted us to learn how to do like scans for like bone densities. And they said that they were gonna pay for it, that they weren't gonna make us pay for it, because it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
That they weren't gonna make us pay for it, but that we needed to sign something that says that we can't quit until like a year passed. That if we quit within that time, we would have to pay that back, and it was like 400 something.
What the hell?
Mind you, I wasn't even making that much. I think at most I was making like $400 or $500.
Wait, did you sign that?
We had to, because they're like, you have to learn this. It's for the scan and blah blah blah. So, yeah, they made us sign it, and we were young. We were like 19, 20 at the time. Yeah. So we were like, okay, like, you know, it's for the job. Whatever.
When you're young, you tend to be more of a pushover. Yeah, like, okay, I mean, I don't know any better, so you it looks like you're like, or you sound like, you know, right.
Como que they're right. Hell no, girl, that's horrible.
Yeah, like it was very shitty. So yeah, whenever I finally like quit and started working like with the company that I'm working with now, first I was working with in like the center, like the actual clinic. And then I moved over to like just being behind a desk, and that's where I'm at right now.
That's what I want. I want an office job.
Yeah.
That pays me well.
You have been saying that's what you want.
Cause my thing is, I've been looking for a job that balances the work-life balance, you know, of like, you know, of trying to work, but not overwork myself.
Yeah. And which is hard.
I know.
Which is hard because we always feel like we have to keep moving around.
And at that, it's, but then
like, we overwork ourselves.
It's like, you know? Also having a good boss who treats you well and respects you and respects your boundaries of like, okay, maybe I'm messing up, I'm sorry. You know? Because it also has to do with how comfortable you are with who you work with, you know?
That's true. But I mean, like you said, like right now, obviously, clearly what you're doing is completely different of what you want to do. And I feel like that's something that you can only take care of. Yeah. And like by starting to like look around and stuff. I mean, you don't lose nothing with looking.
I know.
You know?
But at least I will say, at least I made a step to get out of
where you were.
I was. Because when I had left my job that I was at for like 10 plus years to move into like the same work field, but a different hotel, I guess, because I was working at a hotel. When I worked in this new hotel, that's when I realized this isn't for me. I'm not comfortable and I just need a change of environment, basically.
Yeah. So, which eventually you did.
Yeah. Took me some time.
Yeah. Was it stuff that like they would ask you to do that didn't make you feel comfortable?
Not necessarily that. It's just like I knew it wasn't for me anymore. Like, you know, like what I was doing is kind of basically I guess like housewife like duties were like, well, because I was working in housekeeping.
Mm-hmm.
And housekeeping is a lot of like housewife duties of like sewing and like what is it, iron clothes and stuff like that, or like washing. And there were certain things where like I didn't want to do anymore. I'm like, it kind of made me feel like I had lowered myself.
Mm-hmm.
Which, there's nothing wrong to start from the bottom, but I'm like, I had like in my head, I'm like, I've already been through this. Like, why am I like starting all over when I have experience? Like I shouldn't feel this way. Like I should feel like I'm working for my potential.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot. Also, like having to leave like my toxic environment that I was at, and then also starting this new like job and everything, and finding something where I was somewhat comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
What's funny is that like a lot of people, mainly like the older generation, they like to make comments about how like our generation, they don't want to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it's not that, it's that like the job
boundaries.
Yeah, like the jobs are either humiliating Jesus, or the
toxic.
Customers are. Yeah, so like it's either like the actual job, like what you do, the managers, like the managing, like whoever manages you, or like the customers that you get. They can be like the worst fucking assholes. Like you could love working at a, like, let's just say at a restaurant. Like you could love working at a restaurant. You could love doing what you're doing, like being a waitress, like love the people that you work with. But because the customers are like
shitty
pieces of shit, like that's it. And I really hate how entitled people act. How entitled, like for the smallest thing. And working in like the medical field, like I kind of understand, because you're in pain, like you need this medication for the rest of your life. You're like that,
for whatever reason.
Yeah, like that I understand. But at the same time, it's like, okay, like I'm trying to help you and a whole bunch of other people, and you calling me names, yelling at me isn't helping at all. Like to me, that like switches a lot of things. Like I lose complete respect whenever somebody starts to like call me names, and like before I used to be like, oh, I'm so sorry, like I'll help you. And now I'm just like, no, bye. I'm sorry that you don't feel good. I'm trying to help you, but if you're gonna start calling me names and start yelling at me and start cursing at me, you're not a person to me anymore. I'm sorry. You're not. Like, goodbye.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that like a lot of people don't, like a lot of older generation, they don't understand. Like they think that just because they yell at you that they're gonna get something. And it's like, no. And the moment that you say no and they start to get all offended, like don't offend me.
Yeah.
You know what I've noticed now that you're talking about all this? I feel like our generation gets screwed the most, because like the older generation, they think that they have every right to talk to us in a certain way, especially with disrespect, and that we're just gonna take it. And then there's this newer generation where like they're putting
their foot down.
No,
or what do you mean?
They'll disrespect anybody.
Oh.
And it's like we kind of fall like in the middle, because we're like we were raised
to be kind. Yes. And respect our elders.
Yes.
We were raised people pleasers.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's like, no.
It's a whole thing.
I know. It's hard.
It's hard. But yeah, I feel like sometimes, you just also, like Diana says, you got to put your foot down and know what you're worth and stuff, because sometimes people think they can just step on us because
take advantage.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I kind of liked about like this new generation. But like by this new generation, I mean like kids born in like the early 2000s, because I've seen videos of like managers that are like 19 years old, and there's like older people that like get in their face and start yelling, and they're
to your manager.
Yeah, and they're like, I am the manager. I'm not going to accept that you're going to be speaking to me like that. So if you are, I need you to leave. I'm never coming back.
Okay, bye.
I don't need you to come back.
Yeah.
Goodbye. And like those are like respectful boundaries.
Yes.
Like telling you what you're doing wrong, why they're not going to accept it, goodbye. But then there's like other ones that like will get in your face and start yelling at you and start basically spitting at you, and you're like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I know. Man, I'm so glad I don't think I've worked in a situation like that. I think I would cry.
You basically kind of do.
Yeah,
because like it. And the bad thing about like tears, it's like it's not sad tears. Like you didn't hurt my feelings.
You feel weak.
It's
no,
yeah.
It's,
oh
yeah. It's of like desperation in the fact that you're trying so hard not to lower yourself and disrespect them, but it's also like, you know, fuck you for making me feel like I couldn't like stand up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, pues sí.
I think a thing I've learned with jobs in general is just I know I can do the work and I can probably do more of what they're asking for me to do, but I've learned to not do that anymore.
Yeah.
Because in that way they take advantage of you. Like, oh, so and so can do it. They've done this by themselves. So
oh my God,
I've stopped doing that.
And this reminds me of when you and Manny would always make fun, and it would get to me some days where like they always made fun of me for
why?
For you would make this joke about like, oh, you're the type to like die for your job, or like and
she
I'm
would.
like,
girl, same.
And that would get to me sometimes because I'm like, yeah, but I also have to make a living to pay for my bills. Like,
yeah, but to be fair, she would also put herself like, you know, like
in
like she's worked so much. She I was like, girl, no, because you're doing a job of two people.
Yeah.
Like, why are you're showing them that, you know, that, oh, she can do it, and oh, we don't need two people, she can do it. Yeah. And we're like, girl, no.
Honestly, I would do the same thing. Like, whenever they changed managers and, you know, like they changed everything, the manager that I had, I hated him. Like, he's not working for us anymore. I hated this man. I hate this man, dude. Like, anytime like something of him pops up, I'm like, ugh, an asshole. Because he would make it seem like, oh, we have to get this done. Like, no, it's not that, you know, it's work and work is going to be here tomorrow. No, like, this needs to be done. And it would never be done, ever. So I would have to work until like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, like trying to finish something. And like the next day he would have me like doing more stuff. And like he would have me training plus doing my job, you know. And
so basically, no, I understand that well. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Oh, you're okay.
That was part of why I left my 10-year plus year job, because I had a guy manager that would basically, he was a type of person that would basically have you do his job, plus on top you had to do your own job.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are you doing? Like, I'm basically like, we don't need you. We can run this place, because it was an office of all girls and he was the only guy there. And it was a whole thing because we did have a guy, but then he kind of like ran him out, sort of. Like, it was a whole ordeal with that guy. But like, he was a type where like he had his employers do all the work for them, but like when like, let's say management or somebody would come in the office, he would act like he was working, or he would like, but it's like, if, and it would piss me off because I'm like,
you're like, you know that he's not doing anything.
Yeah, and like he would get all the praise and all the high fives and all that, and it's like, where's mine? Because I did all that work.
Yeah.
No, and it got so bad because there was this one time. So I used to work in reservations at a hotel, and so there was this one call where I was doing, and this woman was literally yelling at me through the phone. And it got so bad that I muted the phone call, and I turned around and I was like, if you don't take this call, it's not gonna end well for me. And like, I was literally on verge of tears, like, because I would turn around and be like, hey, like, I think this is a manager's job, and he'll be like, no, just tell them this, and I'm like, why am I doing your job?
Yeah.
I'm like, they don't want to talk to me clearly, and you're forcing that on me. I'm literally getting cussed out, and it's not gonna end well for me, because it's like there's only so much I can take before I'm like, you know what, okay. But I guess when that person saw that I was about like verge, and it wasn't a verge of like, oh, I'm sad. No, it was of like, frustration. I'm mad, I'm pissed, and you're not helping me. And so that's I guess when he stepped in. He's like, okay, well, give me the phone, or like, yeah. And that's when he finally stepped in. But I'm like, why did it have to get to that point? Like, why did I have to do your job that you didn't want to do? Because now you're acting like the hero in the situation, and I'm the villain, when it shouldn't have been like that. You know, but those are the kind of managers that I hate too.
Yeah. Because he didn't know, like, he would try to bring like his ideas from his previous job into this.
Oh yeah.
And I would have to keep telling him, I'm like, it's not the same. It's not the same. Like, and it's not going to work like that, because we've been established. We've been doing this for so long that if you try to bring those ideas, everything else is going to like go out of, like, it's like a water stream. The moment that like you try to bring in those ideas, it's not just going to cause like a tiny ripple. Like, you're literally bringing in a freaking boulder. And it's gonna like affect everything, and we're gonna fall behind on everything. And it was like that. Yeah, it was like that for like 2 years. Everything was so fucked. Everything. A lot of stuff.
I don't even think a year or something like that. Because he was like that too. He was like, oh, at my old job or my old hotel, we did this. And it pissed me off so much because they allowed him to do so much.
Yeah.
That I was like, what are we doing? Like, this is not your old job. This is not, like, we're a small independent hotel. Like, we're not the same. Like, you're talking about like a larger hotel.
We're not the W.
Yeah. And he's like, no, but at my old job we did this, and oh my god, we should do that again. And I'm like, no,
he needs to calm down a little bit.
Yeah. And that's kind of like what he would try to do too. But the thing that like I realized, because eventually like I just couldn't take it anymore. Like I had like such an upbeat like style, like, you know, just coming in, decorating and doing all that stuff. But then eventually like he broke me down so much.
Oh, you were bubbly, like you were like, okay.
Yeah. And he broke me to the point to where I wouldn't even smile anymore at all, ever. And he would be like, hey, what's wrong? Like, I just feel like you don't like me anymore. And I was like, I'm fine. Like, I want to fucking I'm fine.
Damn.
You know?
Isn't that crazy when you reach that point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're... Yeah.
No,
yeah, like, they literally break you down.
Yeah.
And eventually, like, anytime I would see him, I would just, like, he wasn't my manager at that point anymore, because, like, I had switched to, like, a different manager. And, like, anytime, like, he would come around, I'd be like, hi. Like, not even like a good morning or anything. And then like he would always be like, it's like, hey, so what's wrong? And I'd be like, I'm working, you know, like, just get the fuck out of my face. Yeah, like, get the fuck out of my face. And he finally quit. And like I would always tell people, I'm like he's making decisions that the higher ups aren't making, but he's telling us, oh, it's the higher ups,
Yes.
And I'm like, no, it's his doing. And people wouldn't believe me. I'm like, it's just him. Like, he's switching a lot of things. He's not communicating with us properly. And he's telling, like, the higher up something completely different. They wouldn't fucking believe me until he finally left. And they would find a whole bunch of stuff.
And you're like, I told y'all.
Yeah. And they were like, well, it's because he told us to do this. And I'm like, I fucking told you that it wasn't the higher ups. It was just him. And he was telling the higher ups something completely different.
Yeah.
And there was such a disconnect that they finally started, like, discovering a lot of the things that he was doing. And they were like, oh my god, like, well, he was telling us that this was working, and we're like, no, it wasn't. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, even that's how my old boss was too.
That's crazy.
So if you ever find a manager that's like having all these ideas and is pussing out, he's the red flag.
You have the right to speak up and be like, no, it's not, like, because that's something that I kind of bonded with the girls that I worked, And we were so scared because we were also like, we're all women, we're all girls, like he's the only man, like, and it's so scary to think about. But like when you're in charge, when you're like your manager's a man, it's like he has so much power that you don't understand that as a woman it's hard to speak up and be like, hey, like, he's, because we're in a man's world of like workplace of like they're not gonna believe us because we're women. And it's just it took a lot. Like, we had spoken about it to HR, but they didn't really do much until we finally were like, no, it's either him or us. Damn. Because he's doing so much damage, like, you don't understand. Like, nobody ever wanted to go to our office. In our office, like, you could hear like a pin drop. It was that quiet.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That crazy.
Yes, and like you were hear laughter.
What one person can do.
And
so much damage.
Yes, he was that toxic.
I know.
And like, yeah, and we would always talk, like, we would hear laughter in the hallway, like talking, and like in our office, like nothing. When he was there, we were just quiet. All you hear, like, clickety clacks.
Hell no. I know. That's very toxic.
Yeah.
Just toxic. And another thing that I started doing, so I have like my customer service voice, but now, like, whenever I speak to like anyone higher than me, I don't have my customer service voice. I have to remind myself to shut it down. Because the moment that like they hear nice and friendly,
they take
like,
advantage.
Yeah, they're like, can you take care of this? And that's why like now whenever they're like, hey Diana, can you come into my office? I'm like, good morning. And they're
what
like,
do you want?
Yeah. Like, what's your opinion on this? I tell them and they're like, okay, thank you. Bye.
Yeah. No,
that's hard.
Because it's because you need to, and that's what I had to do with the job that I was in. I was overworking myself the first 2 years. I was doing a lot of the work of just me, and then eventually I had to put my foot down and be like, look, I can't do this. This is a lot for me, and I got better. I got better at it, like my last year there. Yeah. But because it's a lot, we put too much stress on ourselves.
Yeah,
and it's always the nice ones.
Yeah,
it doesn't pay to be nice.
It doesn't
at all. Everybody be bitches.
Yeah. No, especially when it comes to like work. Like, we need to learn how to put our foot down. Yeah. But yeah.
Acknowledge the red flags, guys.
Yes. And if you're not happy, start looking.
Yes.
Start looking, because doors will open
up. You have a voice. You have the right to stand up for yourself. Yes. And if it's a no, then okay, bye. On to the next.
Yep. Thank you, next. But yeah. All right, guys. Well, this was also, I was like, oh, damn, these girls have a lot of tea to say about these men.
Yeah. Fucking men.
But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in and listening. Thank you, Mare, for being our guest. And yeah. Oh, we'll see you guys next time. Stay tuned for a announcement coming up.
Special announcements.
But yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.